Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Mellow Mama, and today I'll be talking about punishments and rewards and how they're basically two sides of the same coin. If you're new here, what's up? I'm Kate. I talk all things conscious living and conscious, respectful parenting with the help of lots of great resources and, of course, my experience as a mother to my son Donovan, who's about 2 years old now. Today I'm going to be focusing heavily on the work of Alfie Kohn. I love his book Punished by Rewards as well as Unconditional Parenting, but in general, let's pull up some information about him so you guys can get to know him a little bit better. This is good old Alfie Kohn. He's an American author and lecturer in the areas of education, parenting, and human behavior. Proponent of progressive education, has offered critiques of many traditional aspects of parenting, managing, and American society more generally, drawing in each case from social science research. Kohn's challenges to widely accepted theories and practices have made him a controversial figure, particularly with behaviorists, conservatives, and those who defend the practices he calls into question, such as the use of competition, incentive programs, conventional discipline, standardized testing, grades, homework, and traditional schooling. Now that you know a little bit more about Alfie Kohn, let's talk more specifically about his perception and my shared perspective on why I refrain as a parent from using rewards and praise in my interactions with my son. I'm going to start with a quote from the book Punished by Rewards by Alfie Kohn, and it goes like this. What rewards and punishments do is induce compliance, and this they do very well indeed. If your objective is to get people to obey an order, to show up on time, and to do what they're told, then bribing or threatening them may be sensible strategies. But if your objective is to get long-term quality in the workplace, to help students become careful thinkers and self-directed learners, or to support children in developing good values, then rewards, like punishments, are absolutely useless. In fact, as we are beginning to see, they are worse than useless. They are actually counterproductive. So that's where I want to start today. A lot of people give me this question all the time. Kate, why can't I say good job to my child? Or why can't I, use a little bit of bribery here and there? Why can't I just give them rewards for the behavior that I want to see continue? And that's basic behaviorism in its prime, saying let's reward the behavior that we want to see continue and punish the behavior that we want to see stop. In respectful parenting, or conscious, objectivist parenting, whatever you want to label what we're doing here, we're just not operating in the system of control. We don't view our child as a pawn, a little chess piece, to say, oh, I like it when you do that, here's a cookie, here's a treat. We don't view the relationship as one person in power and the other not. There's no relationship in the world that functions well with control and force and bribery and manipulation, all of those things that come with behaviorism. There's just not. And the same thing goes for the parent-child relationship. It's simply not healthy. It's simply not organic and respectful to operate in the system of control. Both needs can absolutely be met between parent and child. Both parties can be mutually respected and work together. That's not commonly taught. People don't really talk about the parent-child relationship in this way. In fact, it's so common. Mainstream parenting advocates for behaviorism. Mainstream education advocates for reward and punishment. We're trying to move away from those things in order to get a more intrinsically motivated set of people. People that truly know themselves, know their needs, know what their interests are, what motivates them, what inspires them. None of those things to them being pleasing my parent. That's what inspires me. That's what motivates me. That's what inspired me to create this or that, or do this or that, or become this or that. So how does all of this relate to rewards? Like that quote stated, they become sort of useless when it comes to actually operating in the system of control. They're actually quite counterproductive. There's so much social science and research that proves that the more somebody's rewarded for doing something, the less interest they have in doing it. For example, there might be a task that you love to do. Maybe you loved building macrame. That's a bad example. Nobody knows what macrame is. Knitting hats. You loved knitting hats. You knitted hats for everybody in your family as gifts for holidays and birthdays, and you started knitting scarves, and people loved those too, and you just found so much joy in doing that by the fire, right? And there was so much interest in your scarves and hats that you started a little business. I mean, people wanted to buy these from you, and it's so interesting how quickly your interest and your joy in knitting goes away when there's compensation involved. Rewards are 10 times worse when we use them in order to manipulate our child's behavior, because not only can our child feel the sense of control and understand how this relationship is working and begin to manipulate you as well to get these rewards more often, but it also takes away all of the focus on the task at hand. The joy in whatever it is that you're doing. The enjoyment, the learning, the whatever benefits come from whatever task you want your child to do or whatever behavior you like to see from your child, it takes all of the focus off of that and places it all on the reward. Just like I'm going to punish you if you don't do X, Y, or Z, I'm going to reward you if you do X, Y, or Z means let's focus on what we get out of doing this. What's in it for me is the question that we start asking ourselves when there's a reward in place, as opposed to simply doing things because it's right to do. And I'm going to kind of get into all the areas where rewards are oftentimes used and some alternatives. But what's in it for me? How does this benefit me? Not, wow, I feel really great when I do X, Y, or Z, or this is really good for me, or I enjoy learning X, Y, or Z, or whatever it might be. It's absolutely no longer about that, the growth that's happening there in terms of your personal development as a person or your child's personal development. And it's all about what do I get out of it. So that's step one. Analyze whether or not you're functioning already as a parent or in whatever relationship you're in. This doesn't always apply to parenting. I always address that at the beginning usually, but if you're watching my video for the first time, everything that I talk about in terms of the parent-child relationship absolutely applies to your relationship with yourself, your parents, even if you're an adult person, your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, co-workers, you name it. There is nothing that I address that can't be directly applied to pretty much any relationship and operating in a more respectful, balanced way. So ask yourself, in my relationships, am I operating in the system of control? If your answer is yes, we need to shift your mindset. You don't own anyone. You can't own your children. The best quote in the world that Rosalind Ross states in her book, A Theory of Objectivist Parenting, is basically the only sort of control you'll ever have over your children is your relationship with them. You never wanted to take advice from somebody that's overbearing, controlling, manipulative, scary, right? You want to take advice and go to the people closest to you that listen, that empathize, that feel for you, that understand you, that hear you. Those are usually your friends, not your parents, and we're kind of trying to shift that. But the point is, the control, if you want to influence your child at all, you've got to have a beautiful foundation, which is all about trust. And when we use rewards to get our children to be or do or perform the way that we want in whatever area it is, we are operating in the system of control. Even if it's completely unintentional and just generally practiced. For example, good job. This is technically a reward with praise. We all loved as children being a good boy or a good girl. Pats on the head for everybody. I think I was told good job at about everything that I did in my entire life, which, I was doing a good job, whatever that means. I was doing a good job of pleasing everybody around me, of pleasing my parents, of pleasing my coaches, my teachers, my instructors, you name it. I was pleasing everybody. I was a people pleaser. And obviously it works, right? But not for long-term results. We want people that are intrinsically happy and motivated and inspired and performing and doing well in things that they sincerely love and that they know that they love. Not a bunch of lost people that do things to please others, to get the pat on the head, to get the cookie, to get the reward. Yet really what it is truly underneath the surface is unconditional love. I mean, that's what everybody wants. If you're a good boy or a good girl, it means that you're lovable. It means that you're loved. Rewards are just another way to have conditional love as a parent in your relationship with your child. I love it when you do this. That is a good boy. Good job. I saw you did that. Good job. That is conditioned love. That's conditional love. You love your child more when they do the behavior that you want to see happen. We need to get out of that space. We love our children all the time. Unconditional love. That's what we're all yearning for. And I swear that it's probably, in my opinion, the biggest issue in our world. All these people walking around thinking that they don't deserve love unless they are a certain way or look a certain way or talk a certain way or achieve something a certain way. And that's just not the case. We're all completely lovable, but that's a whole different subject. So I want to get into the next part of this, which is the fact that a lot of people say, well, Kate, without rewarding my child or punishing my child, how will they have good manners? How will they be a good person? And I want to just quickly address the fact that we need more trust. and the innately good nature of children. And I think, again, this is another topic and tangent, but when children are raised in a proper environment where they have unconditional love, support, empathy, clear, confident boundaries and guidance, they will show you time and time again just how good they really are. So if your concern is that your child is going to be a bad person, unless you're modeling evil behavior and doing malicious things all the time, I just don't think they've got it in them. I really don't. I mean, and people might, actually my comments section is disabled, so nobody can even say anything mean to me about that, but I really truly believe it. I mean, I think that people are conditioned to behave a certain way. When you operate in the system of control, people think, okay, that's where we're at. Children are like, okay, I'm going to try to control you. I'm going to manipulate you with my behavior. And even still, they can't even do that. They just have a hard time processing everything because we don't allow them to. I mean, it's just a whole thing. But if you're concerned about a moral compass with your child and you want to reward them for sharing or doing something sweet for another person or saying thank you, I mean, that's a huge one that I hear people say, good boy, or you're a good girl, like, or they're going to get a treat for being so polite or being so well-mannered, sitting at the table for so long, etc., etc. The issue here is that, again, we're not focusing on why it is such a beautiful thing to be a compassionate person and share or give, or to, just be there as a little friend for another person. I say little because I'm thinking of Donovan, my son, and he's tiny. We're focusing, again, on the result. What's in it for me to be nice? What's in it for me to share my toy? What do I get out of being good? As opposed to just being good, just making nice decisions. Naturally understanding the benefits of being generous and being compassionate, being empathetic. If you're concerned that your child is going to have some sort of lack of moral compass or understanding of good and bad because you don't reward them when they do good, nice, generous, compassionate, empathetic things, you don't have anything to worry about because it's just not true. The reward, and I'm going to repeat this a lot, is the behavior. The reward is being good to another person. That is rewarding. I can't tell you how many times I've heard during the holiday season people talking about it's so rewarding to give gifts. It's so fulfilling. It just fills my cup to give people stuff, to give people presents, to do nice things for others. That is the reward. In being a good person and giving and being sweet to others and being a friend to others, we are rewarded. It's just the most beautiful aspect of being human. You don't need a cookie every time you do something nice. You don't need a thank you card. You should just give from the heart. That's the reward. We start giving out tangible things and rewards in order to say, good job, you were a good boy or good girl. We are absolutely taking so much away from the beautiful gift it is to just be a giver, be somebody that has a loving, generous heart, or just taking away from the tenderness in those moments where our children share from an intrinsic place. And speaking of intrinsic, which I use this word all the time, it's like from within, right? Intrinsic motivation comes from inside of you. Kind of touched on this a little bit already, but I want to really get in depth really quick about what kind of role rewards have on our child's ability to develop a sense of their intrinsic self and interests. The more and more that we use rewards or extrinsic motivators to get our children to be and do and create what we want, or play the way that we want to see them play, or behave the way that we want to see them behave with other children, or in the classroom, or wherever it is that they are, the less and less they'll understand exactly why they do what they do, aside from the fact that they want us to be happy. They want to please us. They want to have our love. Because again, that love sort of grows, right? It has like a little fireworks, 10 points for you, little boy or little girl, for when they do what it is that we want to see them do. You can imagine that this affects absolutely every aspect of somebody's life. This deep understanding of who we are is, I think, another thing that people are just yearning for. People have asked me personally, how do you find your purpose? How do you find out like what's interesting to you? And I'm like, well, that's been ripped from you for years and years and years. You gotta dig deep. You gotta like really claw back, and it's easy. I think once people really start to listen to their inner voice, to their instincts, and go to that place and follow their intuition, I suppose. But that in of itself is really difficult because there are so many extrinsic factors and motivators that play a role in who we are and what we do and what decisions we make. Obviously, I'm speaking about adulthood, but that starts at such an early age. On the playground, telling somebody, good job, you're climbing really high. That's going to inspire your kid to do what? Climb really high. My mom loves it when I climb high. That's good. She loves me when I climb up high. Awesome. That's why, you'll see a lot of kids on the playground saying, Mommy, look, I'm up high. Mommy, look, I'm this. Mommy, look. And of course, like that will happen otherwise. I definitely follow the things I practice, exactly the stuff that I talk about. And I still get my son from time to time saying, Mommy, because he's excited. He's genuinely excited from an intrinsic place that he climbed up high. Same thing with painting a picture. Oh, wow, like you're such a good artist. This is something I heard all the time as a child. I was pretty good at painting and stuff. And people would say, oh, you're such a good artist, Caitlyn, good job. And I painted this specific picture of an angel, or drew it, rather. I swear I drew this picture over and over and over again, and the same one of the giraffe. And I might have mentioned this in a former video, but I drew those same things time and time and time again because everybody told me these are such good drawings. Oh, there was an alien too. A giraffe, an alien, and an angel. Those were like my 3 trademarks. And I know if my mom or dad is watching, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, and a bulldog. Those are my 4, okay? My 4 go-to pictures that I drew all the time when I was a little girl, and it was because everybody told me how amazing they were. I think I had a teacher comment to my mom, oh my god, like she's such an artist, wow, this is so good. And I was like, okay, like people like that, I'm gonna keep doing that. As opposed to like, I wonder how my art could have expanded, how I could have grown as an artist had I not been so fixated on the love and praise that I got when I drew specific things that people thought were good. Third example would be in our child's play. I obviously advocate for independent playtime, a lot of flow in the play, a lot of like immersed play where we don't interrupt, we're quiet. I walk around Donovan like he's in intense study mode because he is. And a lot of people tell me I can't do that because every 30 seconds my child is saying, hey, look what I did, or trying to involve them in what's happening. And again, this is from, habitually telling your child, good job, wow, look at you built that tower, really good job, you're really good. I mean, that is such a good way to have your child constantly need your approval, constantly need to please you, constantly need to impress you, as opposed to just playing. The list of examples could go on forever, but the main point here is that we are trying to instill trust in our child, trust in them to become and do and create whatever it is that they are supposed to. We don't need to do any molding. We don't need to influence their behavior at all. We don't need to manipulate them to be and do and create how we want them to. It's not about us. We need to watch our child sort of unfold before us, exposing little parts of them, details and details as they grow and develop and change and evolve, as opposed to us influencing every little detail of them, sort of like building a robot. When we use rewards, we're absolutely manipulating who our child is. I like it when you do that. Awesome, do more of that. Stops our child from doing other things that otherwise they maybe would have discovered. One of the most common places that we see rewards being used all the time is compulsory schooling. Our modern education system relies heavily on behaviorism in terms of, rewards more than anything. Obviously there are punishments and manipulation and a lot of things being used in our modern school systems, but rewards are like everybody's go-to. Alfie Kohn always refers to gold stars and pizza parties, but I'm sure if you're American especially that you're familiar with those things, because those are a couple things that were used in my lifetime and time again to sort of inspire us to learn. If you read this much, or if you get this score, you'll get this reward. There's a theme to this video, and it's that the whole focus now is on what? Not the learning, not how amazing it is to read, to get new information, to connect with other cultures around the world through books, or to connect through history. No, it's about the reward. It's about pizza now. How did that happen? I think it also makes it extremely clear to understand why kids hate school. Aside from the actual research that literally shows and indicates and proves that people just find significantly less interest in whatever they're doing once a reward is put in place, I mean, I think that the proof is also in the pudding when it comes to how kids dread going to school. Not only is it a requirement and all of the things, whatever, they have to sit down for long periods of time, and there's a lot of social dynamics going on, but we literally make it seem like it's a miserable chore to learn. When we use a reward to get our children to do anything, we're teaching them so much. In this case, we're teaching them, one, we operate in the system of control. I like when you behave this way, not when you behave that way. Two, I don't trust you to find anything actually interesting. I have to manipulate you to do it. And three, I will do it. I will manipulate you to do that thing, in this case, learning, by giving you something that's desirable for you. Which, number four, is teaching them that learning is not fun. You have to be rewarded in order to want to do it. Reading, forget about it. You need a pizza party, forget about it. You need a sticker. Why aren't we just simply teaching kids that learning is awesome and it's a huge gift and opportunity? One of the saddest and most interesting things ever about my channel personally is that I started it because people don't read. I was like, man, I want everybody to read this woman's book, Rosalind Ross's book. But people don't read. I know they're not going to. I can't just tell everybody to read it and they'll read it. I've got to talk about it. I've got to share about it. I want to tell as many people as I can about this book, because people will watch a video, that's for sure. And why do you think it is that a lot of people don't read? I feel like instead of just allowing kids to find what books they enjoyed reading, we basically taught them from the start for years and years and years that you've got to have something in it for you to want to read a book, as opposed to what's in it for you is reading a book. Again, the reward is in the behavior. It is rewarding to read. It is rewarding to learn. It is, that is just part of your personal growth as a person, to learn and expand through knowledge. The reward is the learning. But we've taken all of the focus off of the learning, off of the reward, and put in some random thing that sparks some, initial interest or motivation. But the other interesting aspect of the research involved in Alfie Kohn's book and several other books along these same lines that prove the same sort of way of thinking is that the more and more you're rewarded, the less and less appealing the actual reward gets. So now, not only have you lost interest in the actual learning or the task at hand or the good behavior, you've actually also now lost interest in the reward itself, which means we need either a bigger, better reward, or we're kind of doomed. It's like, now where do we go from here? So to answer maybe the question that you're asking the whole time, maybe you've gotten this from the beginning, you're like, yes, I get it, I shouldn't use rewards, but what do I do? How can I show my child that I love them, or that I'm proud of them, or that something that they did is amazing? And the answer is, like I've been saying this whole video, the reward is in the behavior. In most cases, you're going to want to stick with a more observational approach where you're just commenting on what you see happening and avoiding labels of any kind, like, oh, that's a beautiful whatever, or that's an amazing this, or that's a really good that. More like focusing on the cool details of whatever it is that they're doing. Like Donovan, he's climbing up high, literally. That's an observation that I can make without it seeming like I'm trying to praise him for that. It's like, wow, you're up really high. Or I keep using the painting example because it's a really easy one. Instead of saying, like, wow, what a beautiful thing. Comment on what colors they're using. Wow, you're using a lot of blue today. Or, wow, your brush strokes are really interesting. I wonder where you're going to go next. What are you going to add? That way, it's never about pleasing you. Their behavior has nothing to do with you. And you're just like a proud audience member there to encourage and support and just love unconditionally. Instead of creating good boys and good little girls that don't know who they are, what their interests are, self-sabotage, and of course this long-lasting feeling of shame and guilt that's associated with rewards, because again, it's rooted in conditional love. We want unconditional love. Unconditional love comes with no rewards and no punishments, which, like we said in the very beginning, are the exact same thing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I know my comment section is most likely disabled, but hopefully that won't be like that for long. I have no idea when that will change, but go ahead and head over to my Instagram if you're interested in leaving me some feedback. You can write it on one of my posts, or I'll make a little story on Instagram for you guys to comment in more real time so that I can see what exactly you thought about this and what questions you have. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for being a part of my community if you've been around for a long time. I love you guys, and I love teaching this stuff. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.